Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the Blue Flame. Coming to you in the just couple of days before the Blood Moon Eclipse on the 7th of September to weave some frequency about this powerful, powerful, energetic, and some of what we can come to expect in the days leading up to it and just after. So, we began this month of September with Saturn on the first day of the ninth month, coming into Pisces once again, the Lord of Karma, reaching the karmic completion point in retrograde once again. Now we'll have Saturn moving backwards through Pisces for the rest of this year. We'll make it all the way to about the 21st, right around the 21st degree of Pisces before turning back around and making its way to Aries once again. One of the energies that we can expect through this retrograde back into the sign of dreaming, dream weaving, spirituality, transcendence is a relocating or a deeper locating kind of into the bones, into the joints of our being. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, which is our physicality, our like skeletal structure. Okay. So this particular last retrograde and forward motion in the sign of Pisces is helping us to get into any of those places and release any of that stagnant energy that is connected to, I must work hard and struggle to get anything done. What Saturn has been doing, especially since Saturn has been traveling in Pisces with Neptune, what these two have been doing together is helping us release that old paradigm that in order for you to XYZ, you must work hard, you must dig in your heels, you must struggle. It must look like effort is being put forth. When our natural state as beings is abundance, is flow. And so we are going to get into those places where we do not accept the natural rhythm, the natural flow of life, and really start to release that so that we can move into the new paradigm, which is birthing all around us and has always existed, that is the truth that we are in a constant state of communication with everything within and all around us at all moments in time. And we simply need to allow it. When I'm going to share a little story as we get into the eclipse energies here. When the trip to Egypt that I took in the end of April, May of this year, 2025, happened, I basically got a 2-day notice that this trip was now available for me to take. My friend who invited me to go along, her partner was unable to go and they realized it 2 days before. So it was, can you? Yes, jump. Meditate. Is it true? Yes, jump. Now, I got a question from another friend of mine who I was supposed to meet up with for a coffee during the first couple of days of that Egyptian journey. How are you manifesting all this amazing travel that you do? Because if you've been following along the channel, you'll know that I pop up in different locations around this globe quite frequently. I move around quite a lot. And my answer to this friend was, I allow it. I'm open to all of the potentiality, and I keep myself in alignment as much as humanly possible with divine will, highest good. Divine will, highest good. What is the next right thing? How can I move into the next step in the highest good of all sentience, which includes my being, right? If it's in the highest good of all sentience, it's in the highest good of my being as well. And what's true, what's true, what's true. So rather than vision boarding and digging in and trying to figure out how to make something happen, I'm open to the potentiality of that which is most aligned. And I allow the pathways to open up before me. I allow my system to feel what a no path feels like, and I allow my system to feel like what a yes path feels like. And I follow the yes, follow the yes. Joseph Campbell, right? Follow your bliss. That's follow your yes. But first, we need to know what that feels like. If we don't know what our yes feels like, it can be really hard to follow it, right? A lot of the energy that we're experiencing when we're talking about there's a split in the timelines, which I'm seeing a lot of people talking about, or everything's changing with this eclipse cycle. We're coming into the new epoch with a new paradigm. All of this is really a way of saying we are moving into a state of rhythm with the all of everything, as opposed to discordant fight or flight sort of patterning. Okay, so let's get into the eclipse, shall we? Saturn, as I said, on the 1st of September, moved back into the 29 degree of Pisces. I have a little short about that if you're curious about that a little bit deeper. On the 6th of September, the day before the eclipse, Uranus is going to turn retrograde. This will have all three of the major big players who moved signs this year, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, all three of them now will be in retrograde motion, Saturn already having ticked back into the sign it started this year in. This feels like a remembering of what we're going to be doing through this eclipse wormhole going forward. Now, as we came through the first Virgo new moon, that black moon, we began a birthing cycle, massive influx of creative energy, blue flame surge, right? Came through just this past weekend. This was part of that growth phase. As we come to this blood moon eclipse on the 7th, we are beginning a shedding phase. One way to feel into this is that the egg has been laid and now we are hatching it. Okay? We are expanding through the cosmic egg, which is the auric field of our being. the auric field of the Earth, the auric field, that Oort cloud of this solar system. We're expanding through it. We're cracking open to access more. And as we move through to the second Virgo new moon, that blue moon, on the eve of the equinox, we will be experiencing some growing pains, quite likely. It can be quite uncomfortable trying to get yourself out of tight skin that doesn't fit anymore. It can be quite uncomfortable to hatch out of the chrysalis or out of the egg. And you need to stretch and really get into these limbs that have never been used in this way before, right? So this is a big aspect energetically of what's on offer during the phase of the eclipse wormhole where we bridge between the blood moon eclipse and that Virgo blue new moon, which is also a small but powerful solar eclipse. This blood moon eclipse is reaching maximum at exactly 11:11 a.m. in the Pacific time zone. That means that there's a time zone in Russia where the eclipse will be visible on the western edge of Russia, where the eclipse will be visible at 11:11 p.m. Wow, what's going to manifest in that realm, that swath of this planet? Should be pretty powerful. The eclipse itself finds the sun at 15 degrees of Virgo and the moon at 15 degrees of Pisces. The sun will be conjunct the south node, which will be at 18 degrees of Virgo. The moon will be conjunct the north node at 18 degrees of Pisces. The sun will also be conjunct the asteroid named for Isa, which, if we remember, means teacher or rabbi. It is the Islamic name or the name in the Quran for Yeshua or Jesus, as well as Mercury, which will be at 10 degrees of Virgo. They are making what is known as a T-square, this opposition between the sun and the moon, the south node and the north node, are making a T-square. They are pointing at the great attractor. And we've talked quite a bit on this channel and with this channel about the great attractor. The great attractor is that gravitational anomaly, that weaving of energy that exists by our calculations at about 15 degrees in the astrological wheel of Sagittarius. This energetic of the great attractor is a clearinghouse, but it is also that which gives depth to the plane of the material world. It is the downstroke of the weave of the tapestry of life. That's energetically what the great attractor represents for us. It is how we make manifest. We come down into the void and we bring up into the physical plane. We collect, right? It is that interaction between these planes of being that creates the texture, the fabric of the universe. Now, one of the aspects of this cycle that is very, very, very loud, and we were starting to talk about it when we were talking about what Saturn and Neptune and Uranus have been up to this year, is the releasing of polarity thinking or dualistic thinking. We have been running a very long story of if then, if then, if then. Light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. Poles apart, right? Star-crossed lovers. What this cycle, what this convergence event is helping us to connect with is the allness of it, the oneness of it. The they, not he and her, they opening up. Not if, then, but all opening up. Not light and dark, but the interweaving that is the liquid light that shimmers on the surface of a body of water. So feel again at 11:11, that peak of this blood moon eclipse with the great attractor. Now, dancing with the great attractor during this eclipse is the asteroid named for Shiva. Shiva will be at 16 degrees, so very tightly squaring with the sun and the moon as well. And what does Shiva represent in that dance of Shiva and Shakti? But the stage, the foundation. So we have Isa, a masculine energy, dancing with the sun. We have Shiva, a masculine energy, dancing with the great attractor. We have the moon and the north node in Pisces. They are not alone, for they are making a grand water trine. And now let's feel into this trine, because trines are gifts, but when they are grand, sometimes they can feel like a closed loop, and we are running that gift without conscious awareness. And so when we come up and get that eagle's eye view, we are able to see it more clearly. Squares help us to do this as well, as do sextiles. A grand water trine, or a water trine in general, water is the emotional body. So we are connecting with the feminine energy of intuition with the moon, the full moon, pregnant moon. We are connecting in to that energy with the water signs, coming into that emotional realm, the heart felt. On one side of this trine, we have Jupiter at 19 degrees of Cancer, expanding everything, making things bigger. Jupiter's been traveling in Cancer. It's one of the planets that switched signs this year, but is not going retrograde. Will actually not leave Cancer since it's emerged into it. Bringing more energy. One of the aspects of Jupiter is bringing more energy to things. Okay? Bringing more energy, fueling in that massive, beneficial way. The home and hearth sign, the sign of belonging, of tribe, the marrow, of the DNA, of the blood. On the other side of this trine, we have Hecate, Hecate, guardian of the crossroads, queen of the witches, and I have a cat. I say, hey, Hecate, and all of a sudden, Petra, the kitty cat, is like getting ready to jump up on the table. Please don't. Not today. I know you want to. Here she comes. Say hello to Petra, everyone. Working with Hecate, we have Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. Now we have the primordial feminine energies of Black Moon Lilith working with the triple goddess energies of Hecate. This energetic is helping us to find the gifting. Feel the sun and Isa in the sign of the Virgin Priestess, the unencumbered, the whole. These two masculine energies working in opposition, but in that way that when we feel the opposition of the color wheel, the complementary frequencies of Virgo and Pisces, how they help each other move through. It's not poles apart, but a collaboration between. We have Hecate and Black Moon Lilith working in this emotional water grand trine with the moon and with Jupiter, helping us to get into those places where we forgot that we are creators, so that we can come into a state of belonging to this whole universe, not simply what is aligned for my individuality. What do I need? But rather, what is in the highest good of all sentience? How can I move? We can still say I. We still have that individual nature. It is fundamental to the entire procedure. So we say, how can I move through this energy in the highest good of all sentience with the knowing that that includes I am? That includes the being that you are currently incarnate as and your whole soul journey. All while this is happening, the dance or parade of the goddesses, Hygeia, Isis, and Hathor, will have now all come fully in to the sign of Cancer, and they are making a grand water trine of their own. So here we have Hygeia, Isis, and Hathor. Hygeia at 1 degree, Isis at 3, and Hathor's at 7 of Cancer. Working in trine with the rose dragons and Sekhmet, both at 9 degrees, of Scorpio. And Persephone, Yeshua, and Kali in Pisces, all of whom are now moving retrograde. We have Persephone at 0, Yeshua at 2, and Kali at 6. Here we can feel there is a bit of a push-pull. The parade of goddesses in Cancer all moving forward. These energies in Pisces moving backwards as Saturn at the end of the sign is also moving backwards. But this is not a push-pull in a polarity sense. It is a waltz, it is a dance, it is a tango. It is a fluctuation of energies helping us to create a structure. We move like the great attractor is the downward slope. The upward slope could be the galactic center, couldn't it? We move through these waves, these fluctuations, these frequency bands. to find our next state of equilibrium. So here we find this dance happening in the early parts of the three water signs. Right at the midpoint, we have that other grand water trine with the moon eclipsing. Well, Jupiter in Cancer squares Mars in Libra. And Hecate and Black Moon Lilith square Venus in Leo. And Venus in Leo has hit the exact point where Mercury retrograded a couple months ago. 15 degrees of Leo, exactly square or exactly fire trine to that same great attractor. Everything about the cosmic blueprint, the sheet music for this blood moon eclipse is pointing us at allowing greater creation to flow through us. How are you called to allow this? What are you called to create? Now, I mentioned when we were talking about Saturn that this is a structural reset as well. And so some of what you might be called to allow is rest, shaking, stretching, especially in the collarbone, décolleté, neck area, and in the lower back, hips area. Our sacral torus field is coming more online collectively. Some of us have had more active electromagnetic field, that creation energy, because we're here to template the resurgence of it. Some of us are finding the first ticklings and sparks emerging. However, and in whatever way you're connecting to the expansion of creation energy that is surging through this cycle, giving yourself space to allow the energy to move here. As Taylor Swift would say, to shake, 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 to shake, 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 to stretch. And one piece of guidance that has been very loud is belly button massage. Could be very helpful in this time period. It's a very specific sort of massage where you hold your finger on one of the ridges of the canyon of your navel. Now, if you have an outie, you might push on the outie in that same way. But what you're doing is looking for areas of density, of dis-ease, of discomfort, and allowing energy to flow through that space. You may find that you're called to pull from that space. You may find that you're called to hold and allow it to flow in other ways. And I'll have a short where we talk a little bit more about this. Let me feel how we want to go into this next piece. Venus, the great attractor, and Ceres are creating a grand fire trine. Ceres is also known as Demeter, and the energy of Ceres has sometimes been likened to you reap what you sow. But the true nature, or a truer nature, of this energy of Demeter could be likened to allowing yourself to connect with the loam from which all of creation is rooted. To find the sacredness in every expression of the world, of the universe, of your being, of every moment. And here we come to that, what is in the highest good of all sentience, once again. Every act is, no matter how seemingly mundane, is profane, is sacred. In every moment, every breath that you take, every inhale and every exhale is a sacred act. Every meal that you eat is a ceremony. Every beat of your heart this doesn't mean that we don't have special events, right? We celebrate great markers. But part of what we are remembering as we remember this state of flow, this state of creation that exists within each cell of every part of our being, is that every particle that makes up every cell of our being is an expression of the divine. And is sacred. So everything that we do is sacred. Does it mean it's aligned to the highest good? Absolutely not. That is where we come in and our consciousness, our sita, our heart mind fuels that which we create in the world. And that's why these three Taurus fields are part of the Trinity. It's both and. So yes, we are experiencing a massive rebirthing in this eclipse wormhole. We are shedding skin in this year of the 9. We are finding all of those nooks and crannies where we have hidden our fear of our own creative joie de vivre and releasing them so they can return to source and we can do what we truly came here to be what we came here to be. Divine expressions of the all universe. I will be within our community on Circle. I will be facilitating a community-wide 999 portal event. We're going to talk about creation magic in a big way. And I'm going to have some teasers coming into the YouTube between now and then. But already within there is the Toroidal Trinity frequency presentation. If it calls, there's a link below this video where you can go over to Circle. You can join the community. That's completely free. There's no charges for that. If you're called to the inner sanctum, that's beautiful as well. as we move through this portal, as Uranus turns around and invites us to see all of those places within us that are still shaking off the cobwebs of this awakening. As we move through this eclipse, may you find, may you remember that which lights you up, that which you came here to create, that which you came here to be. May you allow yourself to be all that you are. And I share this with you, as always, in the always, with so much and many loves from the dimensions of the all and beyond the beyond.